What's up, guys? Brandon, John, and Logan, and we're from Behind the Counter, episode 2 already, guys. So super excited to be back. Changed our backgrounds up a little bit just to give us some more accessibility to show you some new toys that we've got in the shop. So today's episode will be focused primarily on suppressors. So we're going to talk about the consulting piece, how to buy it. I mean, everything, the meat and potatoes from walking in the shop, what you have to do, the preparation beforehand, how long it's going to take. We'll cover all that stuff. So for any of you guys that are just following us on a regular basis, we appreciate it. But also you can use this as a reference to learn a little bit more about suppressors and also figure out what works best for you. So do you have a gas gun? Do you have a direct impingement rifle? Are you doing a pistol? Are you doing a lever action? All those different things are going to be super important. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. I'm going to hand it off to Logan now. He's going to kind of go over just as if you'd walked in the shop for the first time. I want a suppressor and I want it now. He's going to take it from there.
All right, so I'm going to use Brandon as my test dummy for this process. So, hey, I'm looking to buy a suppressor. All right, man, what are we looking to suppress?
Man, I got a rifle.
Okay, what caliber?
It's 5.56.
Okay, we doing piston, gas, what do we...
Man, I'm not even sure.
Okay, so and that something like that, we would go through, hey, this is Daniel Defense M4A1. All right. All right, man. So you have Daniel Defense M4A1. What style of shooting are we doing? Are we using this to hunt hogs? Are we plinking with it? Are we doing some more realistic tactical home defense style shooting?
Man, I got some property. I don't want to, piss off my neighbors. If I do want to go do some hunting, obviously I want to make sure that, I've got some opportunities for follow-up shots. I'm not spooking other wildlife, all those different things. So that's pretty much it.
So then once you kind of go through because you could have, all three of us could have the exact same gun, and you can find a suppressor that fits a different purpose for how you intend to use that gun. So in his case, hey, I'm looking to hunt, not irritate my neighbors, what have you. That's going to be an entirely different idea or ideology than if it's, hey man, I'm plinking, I'm trying to get into competitive shooting or whatever. But regardless, that's kind of what we try to help people go through as they're picking out a suppressor. It's not a one size fits all. So in that case, hey, this is the suppressor I want. All right, cool. Once we have the suppressor picked out, the process is actually very easy. If you come into the shop or any shop and you already know, hey, I'm going in to get a suppressor, if it's your first, you can have your e-forms already filled out. And for us in our shop, on our website, we have on the top right of our website, the little drop down, little 3 lines. We have the drop down. You go down to suppressors and more, and then you scroll down to the little hyperlink to create your e-forms account. It is just like making an Amazon account or a email account. You just fill in your personal information. Once that's filled out, you get 2 emails. One's like a registration, welcome aboard kind of email. And the second one is going to be your username. Screenshot that, write it down, whatever you normally do to save your important information. And then you're going to pick a 4-digit PIN. It's a PIN that you pick. So pick something you'll remember, write it down. Again, whatever you usually do with important information. Once you have that information, you're done as far as what you need to do to get started. You'll come into the shop, pick out your can. We'll do your fingerprints, which not terribly difficult. It's an oil-based ink that we use, so it's not going to stain your hands before you go back to work, go to lunch, what have you. We'll go through the computer portion of it, which is just entering more or less the same information and the suppressor's information. We'll upload a passport-style photo. You'll pay your $200 tax stamp as it stands to Uncle Sam currently, and then you are on the clock. Bring you out for the can. The can stays with us until you get your approval letter. Once that approval does come through, it will go to you and to us at the exact same time. 90% of the time, we see it before you would. But if you see it before us, by all means, give us a call. I'll have your can ready for you to come pick up. Bring your rifle, pistol, whatever you're suppressing, bring it with you, and we'll help you get it all set up, installed, give you the rundown on, hey, man, here's how you clean it. Here's a suppressor cover that would fit it. Any questions you would have, at the very end of that process, bring whatever the suppressor is going on, and we'll have you ready to go before you walk out the door. What do you guys think? 30 minutes usually, give 30, or take?
35. Yeah, 25, 30 minutes, I would say, would be big. So Logan alluded to, very difficult to find a can that is a one size fits all. And we'll kind of talk about that as we get deeper in. But guys, remember, this is, as of right now, as it stands, this is a lifelong commitment. So when you're buying a suppressor, this is not something that you're going to go trade with your buddy or your friend or anything like that. So you really need to put, forth some time in figuring out which can is going to work for you. And then is your collection going to grow? Is this a suppressor I'm only going to use on one gun? Or, hey, do I have a plethora of different guns that I want to run this on? I've got for my personal collection, I've got 11.5 Spear. I've got a 16-inch rifle. I got a 13.9 Type A. Can Logan sell me a can that I could use on all those and then potentially have room to grow? Those are conversations we're going to try to pull out of you when you come into the shop and make sure you know exactly what you need. And then as that collection of yours evolves, that suppressor can do those things and you can, move forward with that. So John's going to kind of go over the meat and potatoes of the gun. So obviously he's our resident gunsmith, does all of our applicating on Cerakote and finishes and repairs. So he'll kind of allude to the difference between getting a can for or a suppressor for a lever gun or a pistol or a direct impingement rifle. So John, can you kind of break down what's DI, piston, what's the big deal?
Yeah, awesome to be back. So DI, piston, we'll talk about a little bit about that, and we'll talk about the kind of middle ground. So you've got your traditional suppressors, you got your full flow-through suppressors, and then what I like to call the LBPs. So that's what I say in the middle. So every single gun is going to have a different application for suppressor. There's not one size fits all, kind of like what Logan and Brandon alluded to. So what I'm going to start with is just your basic. Let's say you buy a Geisley URGI or a Daniel Defense DDM-4V7. Those guns are stupidly overgassed for a good reason from the factory. So a lot of guys will come in and they're like, oh, I saw, on a movie, everybody's running the Surefire. That's great, but that can is extremely gassy. So it's not letting the excess gas vent out the front. So all that gas is getting left in your bolt carrier group, because that's what those DI guns do, is they use that gas for the cycle of operations. So to mitigate that, what Brandon's done a really good job of having a plethora of different suppressors to choose from. You can go to what's called a flow by Huxworks. So that's going to allow a lot more of that gas to be vented out of the front of the can. And 9 times out of 10, I normally say if you're in the 14.5 to 13.7, 13.5 range, you don't necessarily need to run a adjustable gas block. But with these being over-gassed guns, it's always nice to have that on your side or have it already on your gun. That way you can adjust and tune depending on where your ejection is. If you're running subsonic ammunition or regular ammunition, that plays a big difference as well. So what I'm going to do, I'll pick up some of these and kind of just talk about them real quick. So this is the Silencer Co. Velos LBPK. So myself and Logan, I think Brandon's even got one too.
Yeah.
This is by far our favorite can. Not saying that to be lighthearted, but it's QD attached. So what we'll do is, let's say you've got, again, a Daniel Defense or a Geisley, whatever you might bring us in. So we'll get you a muzzle device that is meant for this particular can. So this is a ASR muzzle device. So what that means is we'll put that muzzle device on. This will just thread right on, and then I don't know if you guys can hear this, but it'll click. So nothing crazy as far as getting this thing carbon locked on your rifle. But anyways, moving forward, the front of the suppressor, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but this being a low back pressure can, it's allowing not all of the gas like a flow, but some of the gas, that's why I say a happy median, to be vented out of the front. So I ran into, the first can I ever got was a Rugged 5.56. And I was running that on my 14.5 Geisley. And these guys can tell you I was just getting gassed out the wazoo.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to do a whole lot of research. I'm a gunsmith, might as well. And I came to the final conclusion that this was going to be the best bet. Not only does it vent gas, but it also keeps that decibel sound down more than a flow. So that's one thing to take into consideration.
So talk to him, John. Like, what do you mean when you say over gas? Like, I mean, when you guys are watching YouTube or watching shooters, or let's say you go to the range or whatever, what's overgas mean? Like just for the normal everyday shooter, what does that mean?
So overgassed means your gun, when you fire that bullet, there's gas coming behind the bullet. So what that does, it travels up through the gas tube into your bolt carrier group, and that's what cycles your rifle. But if it's overgassed, that means that rifle is allowing extra or too much in some comparison to be able to cycle. So those things are made to, work in the desert or work in swampy environments where humidity is a big deal. So gum up the rifle. So your gas port on the barrel, when it goes into the gas block and the gas tube, is normally a little bit bigger. So it allows a lot more gas to come through to cycle that weapon. Mm-hmm. So what that entails is you're getting a lot more gas back in your face whenever that gun cycles. Yeah. So to mitigate that, especially running a suppressor, you can do like a flow. So if you see here, there's a lot of different holes in the front of this thing. It still has baffles like a traditional suppressor, but it'll allow most, if not almost all, of the gas to be able to come out the front. These things do spark a little bit at night, so keep that in mind. The tone for these things, I'd say they're still pretty good, but compared to a traditional suppressor that is not a flow, you'll definitely get a little higher decibel than normal. So that's the flow.
So he's talked a little bit about the difference between your flow, low back pressure, and then a traditional suppressor. Guys, these are all things that when you go through the consultative approach, you'll figure out what of those are most important. So for ourselves in the shop, we want something that we can use for a hunting application, we can use for self-defense, but more importantly, keeping the gas out of our face. We're in a super humid environment. So if you don't have airflow, right, you got that stagnant air. You'll see it when people are shooting, that stagnant air and all those gases that just stay right around the shooter. So it's like getting OC'd if you've ever gotten sprayed with mace or anything fun like that. If anybody's been through BLET, it's not fun. It simulates that, right? You get those gases and stuff and that carbon buildup, especially behind like your shooting lenses and things like that. Super uncomfortable. It makes for a shitty shooting experience, so we want to try to avoid that. Last thing we want you doing is spending $1,000+ right? And then setting you up for failure. So that's why, again, super important. Do not penny pinch, guys, when it comes to suppressors. Again, lifelong commitment, something that you're going to have for your collection for quite some time. So make sure you're getting the right can and potentially one that you can grow with your collection. So pass it back to John.
Yeah, Brandon brings up a really big point. It's the last one I'm going to cover until I get into kind of a multi-caliber platform. So this is the RC2 by Surefire. So this is what I typically call a traditional can. So when they first came out, it's literally just the hole for the bullet to come out. So all that pressure and gas that's in this can is stuck. It still has to go somewhere. So all that's going to go right back into your gas system and right back into your face. A lot of militaries use this can. It does have one of the best decibel ratings. They are tanks of a suppressor. But I'll tell you what, guys, the suppressor world has come a long way as far as what they're putting out. We got 3D printed titanium cans. We've got the whole nine. So as far as reliability and everything, you really can't go wrong. But to piggyback off Brandon, buy once, cry once when it comes to suppressors. And then understand what application is going to be best for you. So I'll give you a good example. Yesterday we had a gentleman come in for a lever gun build out. We're doing a tactical lever gun build out. And started out at a 4570. Ended up going with a 357. Henry Big Boy Model X, and I'm like, okay, well, why don't we put him in a 46M can? That way he can run the 357, but then once he decides, hey, I'm going to go ahead and jump the gun on this 4570, he's already got a can that'll run it, and a plethora of other calibers. I'm not even sure, what are all the calibers that
yeah, so when he's talking about, guys, it's a hybrid suppressor, right? So John alluded to a hybrid suppressor. So we use the Silencer Co., the hybrid 46M, super popular. They are hard to find. We try our best to keep these in stock. But if you really are looking for a can that can do all, be all, the 46M would be a great example. Does have the quick disconnect like John was talking about. So not having to run, direct thread or whatnot. You can put muzzle devices like he talked to, have them on all of your applications and move that can from gun to gun to gun. So that guy could run on a 223 all the way up to 45 long Colt, 4570 like he alluded to, also 357, a bunch of different calibers on a bunch of different applications. So if you're really thinking, hey, I can really only afford one can and I want to be able to grow my collection into some larger calibers, things like that, a 46M or even like Dead Air's Primal would be great. Just keep in mind there's going to be slight differences with those cans. A Primal is going to be a fixed can where it doesn't have any modularity. The Hybrid 46M, M being modular, means you can run it in the smaller configuration or the full configuration depending on what you need. And these guys are tuned for those baffles, and those chambers are tuned for the larger caliber, the higher pressure, all those different variances, and then you can change out those end caps for either 223, 556, 30 cal, all these different things. So obviously we can go into that more in detail when you come into the shop. But for those that are looking for a one-stop shop, depending on where your threshold is for, hey, I'm never going to go beyond a 308, Logan might sell you a 30 cal can. If you're like, I'm never going to go over a 350 Legend, we're going to sell you a 36 cal can. If I'm going to do something over a 357 or something like that, like John alluded to, then, hey, we're going to probably look at, an Omega 36M or a Hybrid 46M. So again, we do a lot of the background for you guys. Give us your honest feedback of what you need, what guns you may be buying in a 3, 6 month, 9 month, maybe even a year out. Give us that plan of attack. That way we can get you a can that could potentially do them all. And then in the case that you want to have a can for everything, John can kind of allude, in a perfect world, you really need like 5 cans, and he'll kind of tell you what those cans are and why and what they fit best. So John, what do you think?
Yes, I mean, start at the bottom. So your 22 can, so you got your Sparrow 22s, you got your masks. I've got one here for you guys. These things are super cool and super quiet. So especially on a bolt gun, not saying to do it, but you can shoot this in their backyard and nobody's going to know. They're pretty inexpensive. They run around $400 or $500. Same process as your regular suppressor. These things are just super cool, super wicked. You don't really ever have to worry about gas or back pressure or anything like that with these because it's such a small round. But that's pretty much all I got on the 22s. So then you move up to your 9 mils and your 45s. So this is a SIG 45 can. Let's see here. Mod X 45. So this is a modular as well. So each one of these baffles will actually unscrew. So really cool, just like the Omega 46. If you want to run this on like a pistol or a rifle, you can obviously modular this thing down. But other than that, the pistol calibers, you got your 9mm suppressors. It's going to look the same way as this. There's a plethora of 9mm 45s, suppressors that you can run. It's just always make sure that if you're running it on a pistol, make sure you get a piston. So your piston will allow it when your slide goes back, it allows that slide and recoil to still cycle the weapon. If it's not, if you don't use a piston, it's not going to be able to cycle.
So John, when you talk about the modularity in that like Mod X 45, like what's the ideology? Is it just like for looks? Is it for like
No, so it's for different applications. So if you wanted to run that on, let's just say the like an LWRC 45 or a UMP or something like that. So I would run that at the full configuration. Those will be direct thread on there. Super easy. That way you're getting the most suppression and the most, I'd say, gas or tune out of that suppressor. Now, if you wanted to run that on, let's just say, a pistol, for example, you could run that at half length. That way it's not this big, long boy. Now, you can still run it at full length if you want to get that full suppression and full tone out of that gun. But with running a pistol, 9 times out of 10, most of the other companies are about that big. JK Armament makes one as well for 9mm that's pretty small and it's still modular. The back end of that is you just have to make sure that you're able to get a piston for that. And what I mean by that is it goes inside the suppressor and it's a spring, so whenever your gun goes off, that spring collapses and reforms to allow that gun to cycle. Going into direct impingement and piston guns, which is a big question we ask guys all the time, especially with the SIG Spears being out. Type A's got a short stroke piston gun now, so different suppressors will work better with a short stroke piston rather than a standard DI gun, direct impingement gun. So when you're running a piston gun, you can definitely get away with a more traditional suppressor, and or you can go with a flow. So these guns normally you're able to tune them like the SIG. They have an adjustable gas block, but with piston, instead of it using the gas and to go all the way into the bolt carrier group, it's hitting a rod, hence piston, and that piston is hitting your BCG and allowing that gun to cycle. So getting less gas inside your internals, keeping it cleaner. That being said, you're able to run, like a Surefire or a Huxworks or a Velos LBP and really not have any gas issues. The problem is that when you do that, it's going to gum up a lot of that internal for the piston. So make sure if you're running a, let's just say Surefire or a rugged 5.56, that you're keeping it clean. Another big issue we run into with some people is getting it carbon locked on the barrel. So always make sure, like let's just say we shoot a lot. If I go out and shoot 500-600 rounds through my AR, it doesn't matter if I'm running my LBP or my rugged, I'm taking that thing off and cleaning it. We have this stuff called suppressor grease, so I would highly recommend it to put on your threads. It's almost like an anti-seize. But picking back off of that, the difference in DI and piston for suppressors is massive, guys. So if you have any questions, please bring it to our attention whenever you come in. Brandon's super knowledgeable. Logan's super knowledgeable. We can really build out a platform that best suits you, whether it's hunting, whether it's long-range precision shooting, competition shooting, pistols, long guns, sub guns. So, yeah, come by, check us out. You got anything else you want me to hit on?
No, I think the biggest thing, guys, we're trying to make sure you understand is there's no perfect suppressor.
Mm-hmm.
There is a perfect match to the application that you're using. So the more information you guys will let us in on what you want to do, whether you're hunting, whether I'm using it behind the house, shooting 50, 60-yard shots, whatever, all that stuff is super important because we can plan accordingly based on what suppressor will, put you in, which one we would say to avoid. If there's a price point, obviously we'll talk about that. A lot of times people come in and will say, hey, I've got $500 or $600 to spend, and they don't understand, well, I've got a $200 tax stamp and all those things, which we'll talk a little bit more toward the tail end of it. But as of right now, it's a big investment. So we understand, but keep in mind, you're buying a can that you're going to have for as long as you own the product, as long as you're using guns, right? So this is not something like I went and bought a gun, shot it for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't really like it. I'm going to trade it in. A little bit harder to do. And a lot of dealers, including ourselves, just because of the cost associated, the transfer fees, things like that, and the NFA fees, a lot of dealers will not buy back NFA products, more exclusively suppressors, not so much as far as the short barrel shotguns and short barrel rifles, but keep that in mind. So super important, buy once, cry once, buy as much of a can as you can, and then make sure you get as much technology as you can in whichever can that is that you elect to. Do I need something ultra lightweight? Do I need something for ultrasound protection? Am I shooting at night where I don't want sparking? We're going to stay away from titanium, things like that. We'll go through all that stuff with you guys. In a perfect world, John kind of alluded to it, but in a perfect world, you need a rimfire can. So he talked about Sparrow 22, perfect example. The Sparrow 22, as well as your Mask HD from Dead Air, those are rimfire specific, but they can do a couple other calibers. So you can do 17 HMR, 22 mag, up to 5.7x28, guys. So we've got some popularity with the 5.7x28 round. So whether shooting in a pistol, PS90, whatever, those are rated for that. Then as you graduate, John alluded to the Mod X45. That's a great can that could be used on PCCs. So like the new Daniel Defense PCC, the LWRC SMG 45, one of my favorites. That'd be a great application. Or a handgun, any of your handguns that come factory threaded, or you're going to add a threaded barrel to it. You're going to have to make sure you have a piston that's specific for that thread pitch and that application. So you're covered from that perspective. Then if you move into your rifle applications, let's say maybe like a 30 cal can, like let's say a Velos 7.62, that'd be able to cover your 223, your 5.56, 308, 300 black up to 300 Win Mag, guys. And then you would look into your specifics for like maybe a hybrid can, something that I could run on a lever action in 357. I decided to buy a lever action 4570 because, what's cooler than shooting a projectile that large that fast, right? And they suppress pretty well. They knock down a lot of the recoil. So you would get a hybrid suppressor for that. So in a perfect world, guys, you can probably get away with 3 or 4 cans to do your whole collection. But again, giving us all that information on what guns you have And if there's any guns that you're like, man, I'm not sure if this is direct impingement, if it's short stroke piston, all these different things, guys, bring the guns in. We'll take a look at them and we'll get you fitted for them. The other piece that we haven't really alluded to, and Logan can probably attest to it, once you buy the can, that's not the end to it. So Logan, what also, okay, we've gone through our spiel. I bought the can, right? You got me the perfect can. What do I have to worry about now? I'm waiting on, obviously, to get approved, which can take a matter of days. But what else do I need? I need parts, pieces, pistons, all that stuff, right? So talk a little bit about that if you don't
So I think
mind.
my first can would be a perfect example. I did the Q Trash Panda. It's a 30 caliber can. It's a direct thread, or not a direct thread. It is a traditional style suppressor with an oversized tapered threads on the muzzle device. I'm a big fan of it, but as John alluded to with your Daniel Defenses, your Geisley, stuff that's a little overgassed, it wasn't the most pleasant to shoot in a quicker rate of fire. So if we're out at the range, you know, trying to compete with each other, see who gets the better shot placement the fastest, it wasn't the most pleasant, especially during the summer when it was humid. You didn't have a breeze to kind of kick some of that gas away from you. So when I bought that can, hey, this is the can I'm going to run for the next 6 months to a year. I got a couple other guns I got to finish building. I'm buying a house, you know, whatever. I had to buy, 3 or 4 different extra muzzle devices. Most of your bigger suppressor brands come with at least 1, if not 2, muzzle devices. So if, like John was saying, hey, I'm going to do a 46M, I want to run it on my 300 Blackout, my 5.56, and a 308. Well, that can might only come with 1 of each muzzle device, so I need to buy another one. If, hey, I'm doing your cool guy, tactical, YouTube style shooting, okay, do I want to do a suppressor cover? You know, it only takes one good time when you burn a hole through your pants and it leaves a nice red mark on your thigh before you realize, okay, that's worth $150, $200. And if you're doing distance shooting, anything with magnification, you get those like heat waves in front of your optic. Those suppressor covers really help with that. My biggest thing was at the end of the day when I've sweated through everything I'm wearing and I want to go home, the suppressor covers help cool it down enough to where I can put it in my truck, in my rifle bag, in my rifle case without melting something.
So what do those muzzle devices cost? Like, just let's give viewers like an example. Like,
I'd say starting your Q1s are what, $80?
okay.
Up to Surefires usually on the high end of things, $160, $170. Just, it depends on the can. So certain manufacturers are a little more expensive. Hey, am I doing your the rum from Rugged?
Yeah.
So some suppressor manufacturers give you options. Silencer Co is a phenomenal example of that. They have, 4 different lines of suppressors: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta mounts. I would say $80 to $150 would cover most of them. Just depends on, again, what your application is.
So how many guns were on your trash panel? Let's use that example. How many guns were you planning to use that on? 2 or 3, 4?
I think I was using it on 4
Okay.
until I got my Velos.
So you got $80 a piece in those, right? So you got $240 in accessories, right?
Easily.
Then you got, what did you pay for the can?
I think at the time they were 9, almost exactly
Gotcha.
9.
So we'll call it inside of $1,000. Then you had a $200 tax stamp.
And suppressor cover.
Okay, so you bought $150. So guys, you see how it quickly adds up. He might have come in mentally to spend, hey, I really only want to spend $800 or $900. You have to think about the whole cohesive package of what all you need to get done. The other piece that we'll allude to is people are doing the same thing that you guys are doing. So when you guys are buying cans, they might be looking at a can that's utilitarian for multiple different applications. Well, guess what happens? When you buy that one can, they're buying 4, 5, 6, 7 different muzzle devices. What happens to all that inventory, right? It gets sold up really quickly. So one sale of one can, 5 or 6 supporting accessories go out the door. So it becomes a little more challenging to find some of the accessories you may need. So what I would say is, as you come in and you're buying a can, make sure, one, you can find the accessories in a timely manner. Cans are coming back super, super fast, guys. Some people are getting can approvals back in 48 hours, 72 hours. So you got 3 days to find all of your stuff. Guess what you want as soon as you get that can out of jail? You want to go shoot it, right? If you don't have all the supporting parts, pieces, and things that you need for it, you're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't done that. And also figure out what it's going to cost you. There are probably going to be some things that you're going to have to do to your gun. So if your gun does not already have like a featured muzzle device on it. So John talked about like his Geisley. Geisleys a lot of times now have a Huxworks muzzle device, or if it's a URGI setup, it'll have a Surefire, and then you're going to be restricted to using a Surefire setup. One thing that we did not allude to, guys, is a lot of suppressors have the ability, they have a universal mounting system. And what I mean by that is it's actually threaded on like a 1.375 thread pitch. So the inside of that can, you can actually take off the mounting solution that came from the factory, or some don't even come with any at all, and you can choose whose mounting solution. So Logan talked about the RUM mount, so the RUM mount from Rugged. If he wants to run his RUM mount on a universal thread on a suppressor that has that same thread pitch, you can do that. So you have that versatility. A lot of brands won't tell you that for obvious reasons. Hey, if you're buying a Huxworks can, we want you to use Huxworks muzzle device. But if you buy a Ventum, theirs is a universal mounting system. So you can use a Surefire mount or an Alpha or a Bravo mount from Silencer Co., whoever you choose. So don't be too worried about that, guys. There's always a way that we can kind of create a solution. John had to do that with a customer more recently, was having some issues with taking on and off the can when he was out in the woods. He's like, I need something far easier. So we went to a tapered system that is still a QD mount like what Logan has on his Trash Panda, but it seals those gases from getting past a certain point to carbon locking the thread. So if you're moving cans back and forth, having that flexibility is going to be super important versus like, I have a Velos that pretty much stays on my Type A rifle all the time. I don't really worry about as much. I make sure I keep my muzzle device with a thin bead of oil on it, so it makes it easy to take on and off. And also for cleaning, just makes it much easier to break that barrier when I need to clean all that carbon and stuff off. So we've talked about kind of the breakout of different cans and what might be a solution for you. We also talked about the difference between direct impingement rifles, primarily ARs, AR-15s, AR-10s, lever actions, things like that. So we've talked about a bunch of different applications. Now let's talk about the price, right? So everybody's been coming in the shop. Oh, there's no more tax stamp now. We don't have to worry about that. Logan, like what's the meat potatoes on that? When does that stuff start, stop? What does it look like?
As it stands currently, the $200 tax stamp is still in effect. That does not go away until January 1 of 2026. So for 90% of people, nothing's changed. It's not going to change till the beginning of the year. There is a lawsuit being brought towards the federal government. I mean, I know I'll miss some people involved in the lawsuit, but it's a lot of big names. GOA, FRAC, Silencer Co., Silencer Shop. I think Palmetto State Armory's on it. A lot of your bigger names are involved in this lawsuit because you now have a tax that is $0, which is unconstitutional. So who knows what the future holds? I would imagine that things will change. Who knows how long that will take? But as it stands currently, until January 1, you still have your $200 tax stamp. You're seeing a lot of people kind of weigh the options. Hey, if the $200 is going away, man, I'm already on a budget. I got 2-3 kids or one in college, what have you. We get it. But factor in, everybody else is thinking the exact same thing nationwide. Oh, January 1, there's no more $200. That's $200 I'm keeping in my pocket. So the supply and demand, that is not something that is going to equal out overnight. That's going to take some time for certain suppressor manufacturers to catch up on. Silencer Co. might be faster than Hux or what have you. That's besides the point. If you're looking at doing a can in the kind of like what Brandon was alluding to earlier, hey, in the next 6 months, what rifles am I going to build? What pistols am I going to build? And what suppressors do I want for them? I would factor that in with January 1 and probably a little beforehand, come Black Friday, Christmas shopping time. I would imagine we're going to see a very new to our industry tempo for your suppressors. The availability, I will imagine, will change as far as what's on the market, what we can get a hold of from the manufacturers, the distributors. Like Mr. Brandon said about all the accessories. Hey, if this is my first suppressor, I'm doing a 30 cal can that I can kind of run on most of what I got. Well, I'm probably buying 5 or 6 different muzzle devices. So it doesn't take too many guys to do that before, cool, now I can't find a cherry bomb for my Q muzzle device. Ask me how I know.
Mm-hmm.
The $200 tax stamp going away, I think, is phenomenal. I'm super excited for it. Regardless the outcome with the lawsuit, that's still money that you get to keep in your pocket. I get to keep in my pocket. That's more muzzle devices. That's more ammo. That's your money. You get to keep it. But for the people trying to get those cans in that time frame, I would say just be aware of that. I don't think it's going to be a very quick adjustment for the market. I think it's going to take a little time, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I think it will take a little time for everything to even out. I mean, you look when they streamlined it. What was that, last spring?
Mm-hmm.
When e-forms were coming back in a week or two, all your popular cans that you could really milk for multiple applications, you couldn't find cherry bombs for 2-3 months. You'd get one in the box and that was it.
Yep.
If you found one, it was on Gunbroker Arms List and you were paying double the price because there was none. So I tell everybody when they come in, hey man, okay, what can are you looking to do? We'll do a Mod X45. All right, cool. Are you tracking on the tax stamp going away? A lot of people are. Some people have no idea. They don't, hey man, I don't watch the news. I just kind of live my life. So be aware of that going forward as far as, hey, I'm planning a trip to go see my grandparents. Well, I'll just wait till January 1 goes away because of this trip. Okay, well, now knowing that information, does that change anything? No, doesn't change anything. Hey, awesome, man. I just want you to know what we're anticipating going forward.
Yep. Cool. So is the $200, that's if I do a $200 tax stamp, does that cover me on all my suppressors or
No,
like
it is
how's
per suppressor. So if we've had a couple gentlemen come in, hey, I want to suppress my 5.56 AR-15 and I want to suppress my 9mm. Okay, well, it is $200 per serial number. And to kind of further elaborate on that, you cannot start your Form 4 process until the suppressor is physically in that shop because it is based off of you and that suppressor serial number. So if it's one that you're having transferred into a shop, whether it be us or any other shop, you can't really start that process until it has arrived, checked into our books. There's some paperwork to get it to the process before we bring you in on it. So it is $200 per suppressor, and you cannot start it until we have possession of that can, whether it's a transfer or something we ordered for our shop. So just, kind of keep that in mind. Oh man, I'll do 4 or 5. Okay, cool. That's $200 times 4 or 5.
Cool. Yeah. So like you talked about a misconception with the tax stamp. There's some competitors out there that will bait you into going on websites, things like that, and pay your tax stamp ahead of time. Guys, you're giving them money to essentially a holding spot until you decide what you're buying. It's a misconception in the industry. It's a little unfortunate. So when people come in, if they've gone on the web, we'll just say that, and I've paid my tax stamp, but I haven't selected my can yet. Guys, it's the bait and switch to get you to stay with that particular company to then potentially buy or transfer or do a can through them. Not hating on their game for that. It's great marketing, but that tax stamp is not collected until you go on the ATS website on pay.gov and type in your credentials with your credit card or debit card and pay them the $200 right before we hit the go button on your eForms application, whether it's a Form 1 or Form 4, that $200 collected. So again, after January 1, that should no longer be a thing. We're also hoping in the coming weeks and months that the NFA could potentially dissolve. I mean, guys, this stuff's been around since the 30s and the 40s. This $200 tax stamp's been a thorn in our behind for a long time, and we're really, really close to that being completely removed. And potentially in the coming weeks, months, maybe even a year or more, walk in, hey, I grab this short barrel shotgun, this Genesis we have here. I buy it over the counter. I do a background check where I have a concealed carry, and I'm on my way. I mean, that's what we could potentially see in the coming weeks and months. So super exciting stuff. So if you're just getting into the NFA game, we want to help you. We will literally hold your hand through every single step. If you guys watched episode 1, John and Logan attest to, that was like one of their favorite things that they came into the shop about when they were a customer before they became part of the team was, hey, that consultative approach of slowing you down. We're going to do everything, step by step by step and let you watch the progression. And then, hey, we're going to keep this thing in the safe, locked up with your name on it. As soon as we get the approval, it's yours to come in. We'll mount it. We'll test fire it. Whatever you need us to do to help you, we got you covered. So we are literally your NFA one-stop shop. So we got you covered from that perspective. Guys, what else have we not covered?
I think I'm good.
Cool. So we talked about difference in guns. We talked about difference in cans. If you want to do 1 can, 2 can, I do want to kind of allude a little bit to Logan talked about how much it costs, right? He was hundreds of dollars on top of the cost of the suppressor when he bought his different, solutions, his mounting solutions for his various guns. Guys, a lot of times people think you can save money by buying like a modular can or in this case, a hybrid can. So like we'll use the hybrid 46 again for an example. Yes, it can do a multitude of calibers, but a lot of times what you're going to have to use and the accessories you'll have to buy, we'll use this example. So Logan, if I'm selling you a hybrid 46, okay, and I've got a threaded 1911 pistol, I have a 5.56 rifle, and I have a lever action, let's just say lever action 45 long Colt. What am I going to have to spend in accessories to make that one can work, do you think? Just roundabout.
$300-$400, easy.
Easy, right? Because you're going to have a pistol booster. So a pistol booster is that housing that's going to allow that piston to sit inside of it so that it can reciprocate, like John was talking about, going back and forth. So you got that. That sometimes can be $250 for the piston and the hub itself. Okay. I'm going to need muzzle devices if I'm using an ASR mounting system. So those are going to be what, 70, 80 bucks a piece?
80 to 120.
Okay. So we'll call it 100 bucks. So right there, guys, I'm easily $440 in accessories. So that's why having that consultation with us when you come to the shop and telling us everything you want to do with this can, making sure we pick the right one, is if I was going to spend $440 on accessories, but I didn't tell John that I'm going to be doing a 22 and a 45 long Colt, I've set myself up for failure when I could have used that $440 for a 22 suppressor and then gotten another can specific to that gun. So guys, super important. Buy once, cry once. I know we stress it all the time, but it is super important in the NFA world, especially as we move forward into January when there's no $200 tax stamp. You guys are going to have to move with a purpose, and we're also concerned with constraints of inventory. So when you think about it, suppressors and how they're manufactured, there's a lot of threading involved. There's a lot of exotic metals used. So when you think of shortages on titanium, Inconel, all these different exotic materials, that can slow down production and availability. Logan, at any given time, let's say I log in. What's your most popular can you look up online for? What do you think?
Probably the Velos, either the 5.56 or the 308.
So if we go on a major distributor's website, how many are available, you think, in the distributor? And this is distributor from a national perspective. How many you think they have like available to order at any time?
I think the most I've ever seen was like 60.
All right, 60 guys. So we're talking about a national distributor that's covering thousands and thousands of dealers. We're not even talking about your online market, just, run-of-the-mill FFLs like ourselves, gun shops. How many suppressors, how many more suppressors they're going to sell in the coming weeks and months. So not trying to scare you, but if you guys want the best selection, might want to look at doing your research now. I know of a lot of other gun shops, including ourselves, are willing to, if you decide you want to buy a can and you're not worried about actually taking possession of it until after January, to be able to get the $200 tax stamp savings, we'll store it for you. We don't have a problem. We're going to charge you storage for that. So you've got till January 1 to come in, get through the holiday season, and then, do your processing, fingerprints, all the rest of that stuff. So that's an option. Discuss it with us. See if that's something that meets your needs.
Now, with the storage, keep in mind, everybody else is going to be jumping on that no payment for your $200 tax stamp. That $200 goes away. Wait times are probably going to go up. So if it's something that, hey, man, I travel a lot for work. I'm not in a crazy rush to get it. I'm just trying to be frugal and spend my money wisely. Then, yeah, that's the perfect way to do it. Yeah. But if you're like me or John and you're an impatient individual, maybe the $200 is worth still doing now while the wait times are relatively, what do you guys think we're sitting at currently for your direct files?
I mean, we're normally under, I'd say 3 weeks. So that's one thing I want you to kind of bring up, Logan. What would be a reason or some reasons that would potentially slow me down? So everybody wants to brag about how quickly they got their suppressor. What could be something that speeds you up, slows you down? Like, what are some variables that we've heard over the years that can affect that? And like, what are some things to be on the lookout for?
If you're John Smith or anything that is a super common name, I'm sorry, you're not breaking any records. You might fall on the meat and potatoes right in the middle or a little on the high end. If you've moved around a lot. So a lot of your DOD guys that, I've lived in North Carolina, California, Hawaii, Arizona, wherever. If you moved around a lot, that's not helping you. If you're a second or a junior, senior, the third, that's not helping you a lot either. If you weren't born in the U.S., even if, hey, I was born overseas on a military base, my dad was in the Army, that's not going to crush you, but you're not breaking any records. Mm-hmm. If you got your citizenship, we had that gentleman getting his citizenship, moved here from Germany. His was not terrible, but he was definitely not on the short list at all by any means. if you've had any, hey, when I was a young man or a young lady, I got in some trouble, you know, I kept my nose clean, I did whatever I had to do, you're definitely going to be on the longer side of things. Any you guys can think I'm missing?
No, I think he pretty much talked about uniqueness of your name, first name, middle name, last name, cadences. Obviously, whether you're junior, senior, first, second, third, all those things are going to have variables. I'd say the other thing about the moving around, if you've been in one state for longer than 10 years, that will help you.
Clearances.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of guys come down from Camp Lejeune, varying. Hey man, I file paperwork, or hey, I'm the cool guy that's jumping out of helicopters. I can't really find a rhythm for it, because you have some dudes that, hey, they have clearances and they're in, the cool guy lifestyle. They're quick. And then a dude that is their coworker will be slow. But the clearances definitely throw a wild card into it.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just hey, I have a job that is very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Hush, hush.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not even if you have a clearance, just something that it raises flags like, hey, why is this guy buying a suppressor? It just takes a little more time. You're giving them more information, more real estate that they have to verify. And I could be wrong. It's not like they communicate to us their rhyme or reason. Guys, when you come in, we can see what you can see. Now, we can call people for you, but these are the exact same people that you can call. Perfect example, Mr. Ernie.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman that's bought several cans from us has usually been on the short list. He's a third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's got a cadence. So he's got some things that would not necessarily help him, but some things that shouldn't really hurt him either.
And in the past, he's usually been pretty quick, a week to 2 weeks. He's going a little on the longer side of things now, and rightfully so. He's a little frustrated. Hey, man, I bought one last year, and it was 11 days. Well, we're going up on 6 weeks now, and we can see the exact same thing you guys can see once it's filed. If we're running into, hey, man, we're on 7, 8, 9 weeks, we can call people at, the ATF field office or whoever it might be. We can call them, email them, reach out to them on your behalf. At that point, it is the exact same thing as you doing it. We don't have any special insight or a hookup at, oh, yeah, we're boys. No, we're seeing the exact same thing you guys are. So whether it's us or a gun shop local to you, just keep in mind that we're not getting any special information. We're seeing the exact same things you are. So it is just as frustrating for us as it is for you when, hey, why is this taking so long? My last one took 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know either, man. We're guessing.
No idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people think there's these just hidden rules and laws. And as the years have progressed, there have been some ways around things to try to speed things up. But then, unfortunately, our industry exploits it, and then it gets ruined. I'll just use, for example, there was, probably about a year ago, there was an email that you could reach out to somebody at the FBI and try to have your stuff fast-tracked. If it was taking a while, you could get somebody to essentially manually review it, and sometimes would push those things through. It was very intermittent. There were some people that had 100% take rate on it. We had probably closer to 40, 50% take rate of getting people pushed through faster. So the big thing is, guys, patience. So if you guys have never bought a can before, just to let you know, going back in history, when I started in this, it was nothing for it to take 14 to 16 months for a suppressor to be approved. So guys, you got to be patient. We get it. We're in an industry that's super, super fun stuff that we want to play with and we want to have a lot of fun with. But we're talking about stuff taking days and weeks, even just a few months. It's a far cry from, maybe some friends or colleagues of yours that went through getting a can, years ago, and how rough it was. We had people with trust that sometimes would knock it on 17, 18 months, guys. We're talking about almost 2 years waiting on their stuff in jail. So things have come a long way. There's still some room. We really, at the end of the day, we want the NFA to be abolished, and you guys come in, buy whatever you want off the shelf, do a background check, and you're on your way. That's the perfect world. So we're all hoping that we're heading in that direction, but more to come on that as the weeks and months progress. So we talked about cans. We talked about the different applications, the costs that can be associated with supporting goods, whether it be accessories, mounts, suppressor covers, all those things, guys. Make sure you're taking that into your thought process. If you have $1,000, we talk to people all the time. They'll come in and say, hey, I want to get a rifle. well, how much can you spend? And they say 1,000. Is that 1,000 for the rifle, or is that 1,000 for the complete build out? Have that same mentality when you're thinking about suppressors. So if you're spending 1,000 on the can, what am I going to spend on it to work on all my applications? So keep that in mind. So we've tried to cover as much as we can in a short and sweet environment. Obviously, any other questions that we did not cover that's specific to you guys, come in the shop, give us a call. Go online, set up your e-forms like Logan said. Go on www.trippletguns.com. Go under the suppressors and more tab, and then get your ATF e-forms account set up, and then we'll handle the rest of it from there. Come in the shop. We'll do everything, hold your hand through the whole process, fingerprinting, passport photos, all that stuff. We did bring a super cool gun with us this time. I'll let kind of John talk about it. This is out of my personal collection. So every episode, we're going to bring in a special gun that we've kind of done either a one-off, we've done some upgrades to, whatever, and kind of go over a few of those things with you. So John, tell us a little bit about my Genesis.
Yeah, so this is a Genesis SBS, so short barrel shotgun. Custom Cerakoted by yours truly, Guardian Gunworks. Brandon decided to go with the JK Armament modular 12-gauge suppressor. As you can see, this thing is a hoss.
Yeah.
But modular, so it'll break down. All these different baffles will come apart. I will say, with JK stuff, make sure it's tightened down. We may or may not have shot one off.
We would never do such a thing. We would never launch an end cap all the way down the end of the range.
Yeah, and not be able to find it.
Correct.
But the serialized portion of it is still there, so we're good to go. JK did a great job of getting us some new parts.
What'd you do to this hoss?
So we put a Geisley trigger in it, radian controls, what would you call this? Kind of the Cerakote. You had like a word that you envisioned in your mind.
So, guys, I wanted kind of like a ghosted multicam, but in a green shade. I know that's going to seem crazy. I kind of knew what I had in mind, and John was trying to play with some colors. First experiment did not go quite as planned. Obviously, when you're doing a one-off, you never know until you start taking off all the taping and all the rest of that stuff and getting all that stuff out of the way. We both looked at each other and were like, that doesn't fit the gun. So, went another route, turned out awesome. So it's like that ghosted camo, but in a green shade versus being black. I'm a black multicam guy, but I wanted to try something a little different. So
I would say borderline obsessed with black multicam at this point.
Obsessed.
Never.
It's kind of disgusting.
Never.
But yeah, so optic to match, which is
What kind of
sweet.
optic is that? It's pretty
This
dope.
is the SIG, what the model is it?
AT.
I think it's a Romeo AT, right?
Yeah, Romeo AT, yeah. Which I am actually a big fan of these optics.
Yeah.
The sight picture is amazing in them. But we did a Geisley, I think it's an SSAE trigger.
I think we did SDE on that. A flat bar. Yeah, I did the flat bar SDE.
With the Radian 45 degree. Love that. Anything else I did?
I don't think
The
so.
base plates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plates.
I think it was our Taylor
So,
Freelance. Yeah.
Yeah, base plates, matching base plates from Freelance. He's also got the, was it 20 round or 12?
Yeah,
12
I got a bunch of different mags. Got some
Big
13
boys.
rounders, 10 rounders, and then we got the big boys for competition use. But we'll obviously bring something cool every episode as a feature gun. The Genesis, I had to wait a long time to get when those first launched. Me and the boys went to go see John Wick together. So if anybody hasn't seen JW4 with obviously the Dragon's Breath, pretty badass scene. Obviously, that's one of the guns featured. We had to have one, so we were already kind of collaborating what we were going to do to it. Want to do an enclosed optic. I've got astigmatism, so I'm very picky with what optics I like. That's a completely enclosed, like battle-tested style optic. So kudos to SIG on that. Love the Romeo 8T. So if you guys are looking for like a battle-tested optic that you can use on a bunch of different applications, that's a badass one. Has a bunch of different reticle choices built in. So it is a lot of fun to shoot.
It's a lot of fun to shoot.
Yes. Shooting 12-gauge semi-automatic with a trigger like that is awesome.
And
So
it really doesn't kick. Like I can shoot that, and that's
no. Yeah. I think Logan, he's had shoulder injury from the military, was a little apprehensive about shooting it. We went and did some little testing with it, and I think he was quite surprised with how nicely it shot.
And I mean, every shotgun's gonna be different. Load, barrel length, all that. It was a hair over 5.56 as far as recoil,
Oh, yeah.
which
Yeah.
5.56 doesn't have a lot of recoil to begin with.
Yeah.
You want to talk about like giggle factor?
Yes.
That was
It is
I was
high on the
pleasantly
giggle
surprised.
factor for
Oh,
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, guys. So I mean, any anything customized you want to do, Cerakote, suppressors. We do a lot of custom AR builds as far as barrels, adjustable gas blocks, really anything to fit your needs. Come hit us up. You can find me over at Triple T or give us a call. But yeah, this was a hell of a lot of fun to build. Did some armor black for the buffer tube. Yeah, I do love some inspiration. So if you guys want to come in and say, "Oh, just do whatever you want," it's not normally my favorite way to go about it. Kind of come in, make sure you got a little bit of something like, "Hey, I want this camo pattern." Okay, I can work with that.
Yeah, bring us some pictures, man.
Yeah,
Just
bring us some pictures.
something to inspire us.
Crazy enough, I am not an artist, even though I paint for a living or Cerakote for a living. But yeah, this thing was a lot of fun to do. This is what I wake up every day wanting to do. So never go to work technically every day. But yeah, I love doing this stuff. Logan loves it. Brandon loves it. So we're here for you guys.
Amen.
The suppressors, I hope you guys learned some stuff. Definitely don't want you to buy something that you're not going to be happy with. So again, as Brandon and Logan alluded to, please let us know what your intended use for that can is. And then if you're going to run an adjustable gas block, I've ran into a lot of issues with some people that install them themselves and they don't work. So then I have to explain to them, hey, you have to tune these. They're going to shoot different if you're running suppressed or unsuppressed, if you're running an adjustable gas block. So keep that in mind. We're here to answer any questions. I'll hand it off to these guys.
Yeah. Ammunition, guys, like he talked about, is going to vary. Adjusting the gas block, you're going to need to tune your gun depending on what the application is, whether you're using a modular Mod X9 can, and I've got it in its full configuration, and I'm using it on, let's say, a new operator from Springfield, and I'm having issues with, failure to feed, failure to extract, whatever the case may be, taking baffle down one at a time to find out where that sweet spot is or things like that. So guys, don't get frustrated. A lot of times people get a can, they immediately want to go out and shoot it. We get it, but let's make sure it's right. Let's make sure we're mounting the muzzle device right. We're timing it right. We're rock setting it so the muzzle device doesn't come off when you're out in the field. All these different things. We want to set you up for success. So let us help you. Do not rush this stuff. A lot of people come into the shop, want to go 155 miles an hour. We're going to do 55. We're going to set the cruise control. We're going to do it the right way and make sure that it's an awesome experience for you. So let us drive. Come on in, grab a seat, and we'll walk you through. So I think that pretty much wraps us up for this time. If you guys have any feedback on what you want to see, guns you want us to feature, or episodes or ideas for podcasts, we're all open. We've got an idea of what we're going to probably be running for the next, I'd say 8 to 10 episodes, but we're all ears. So if you guys, our viewers, have any ideas, let us know, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you.
Cool.